Kristin Dail is going to do $200 million of production this year, but in 2023, she was burned out and almost quit the business. Join us for an amazing hour conversation with Kristin as she walks through how she got out of that funk, what she does day in and day out without hesitation in order to win by noon and make sure that she keeps her business on track. And then the other events and different things that she's doing in order to stay relevant with her partners in her community. I know you're going to enjoy this conversation with Kristin Dail. Welcome, everyone, to another Loan Officer Mastermind. I am Todd Bookspan, the founder of Win by Noon, and we have been doing this for 10 years on Fridays live and then on YouTube afterwards, and now up on your favorite podcast site. Super excited to introduce you to a new person today who we have not featured before. But before I do that, let me bring on our co-host team. Deborah Byrd, how are you, my friend?
I am great, and I'm excited to have another badass female from Dallas, Texas today. So let's go. Y'all get ready.
Right.
All right.
Yes,
And I would not position Kristin as a new person. I mean, she's a very experienced mortgage advisor that does an insane amount of business, also figures out how to have a great life. I'm super excited about the topic, creating confidence in competitive markets, because I always feel like confidence is truly one of the differentiators between people that kill it and thrive in any market versus the people that struggle. So I'm looking forward to the formula that Kristin has around confidence.
Well, there we go. And it is Kristin Dail. She's with Rate out of Dallas, Texas. It was a referral from Shant Bonosian. So you all know Shant is a friend of the show, number one loan officer in America. So when Shant gives a recommendation, we run after that recommendation as fast as possible. But imagine the trajectory, right? We all know that we had some great years during COVID of loans falling out of the sky. And we've seen a lot of folks who, since then, their production maybe has stagnated. But Kristin has gone from 60 million to 80 million to 113 million, on track for $200 million this year, over 200 transactions. And so I know we've got a lot to learn, but I also want to make sure that you understand that she's doing this by herself with two shared assistants. And by the way, she's home every day by 4:30 because she's a mom of two daughters. So welcome, Kristin.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. I'm so excited to be here. I feel like I'm with a bunch of celebrities.
Well, I feel that same way when I get on here every Friday. And so I give a little bit of your background. What fill in the blanks? What did I miss in there of your journey of who you are as a human and as a loan originator?
Yeah, so I moved to Dallas. Goodness, it's been about 14 years, and I moved here for a boy. That didn't work out, but I stayed because the loan amounts were a lot better, right? So I came here not knowing anyone, and I just started cold calling. I would literally, that was when Instagram was just getting started. So I would Google like loan officer or I'm sorry, realtor that's in Dallas, Texas that went to OU or was my sorority or whatever. And I just built my business that way from the ground up. And the only thing I had to do was prove that I'm going to be there for the realtors, that I can do what I say I'm going to do. And that's how I've built my reputation the last 14 years here.
Now, would you DM them at that time, or did you use that to like warm up the
I
cold
used
call?
that really to warm up because it was just getting started. So a
Yeah.
lot of it was Google too. I look back at my first post, and that was really before you used it for business even, right? It was just to show pictures of your dogs at that point.
Yeah.
So it's crazy how far it's come since then.
Yeah. And I did put Kristin's handle in the chat. So those of you who are on live, make sure you're following Kristin there. And the only slightly cringe thing was the OU comment.
Sorry.
But we'll
Sorry,
leave
I'm
that
a
out.
winner.
We'll leave that out. How long would you say it took you from when you came here and you implemented that strategy? Like your first 12 months, was it a slow uptick, or did you just get after it? Did you do open house crashing? Like, was there anything else to that?
You know, I have never done open houses just because even before I had kids, I like my weekends. That's probably a lot of people are probably cringing, like, don't tell people not to do open houses, but it just wasn't for me, right? And that's what I think is so cool about this business. There's so many different ways to grow it. If you don't like one thing, just figure out something that works for you. So mine, I would say the first 12 months, yeah, it was slow and I got told no a lot. And I just kept pushing and kept pushing. And now it's fun that I get to tell realtors no if I don't want to work with them. So
Oh,
how it's changed.
Hey, Kristin, just to kind of level set for everyone, because I think they'll be surprised at the kind of volume you're doing. If you could just kind of describe your practice, how many people on your team, what kind of volume, and what your goal is for this year.
So My team, we run pretty lean. It is me. I'm the only one bringing in business. And then I have two assistants that I share with someone else. They're helping me. I talk to the client first. I develop that warm relationship with them. Then I have them fill out the application and my team's going to run with the pre-approval. Once they're good, we have the strategy together. Then I will get on a Zoom call with them and go over the options. One thing I'm very big at is training my realtors to have them talk to me well before they find a home. And I share statistics to do that. For example, I know Logan with Housing Wire put out a statistic a few months ago stating that contract cancellations were at an all-time high. I use that to educate my realtors, like, guys, what are you all doing waiting until Saturday afternoon to send your client when they've looked at 15 houses? No wonder so many people are canceling contracts. They see that payment, and even though they can afford it, doesn't mean they like it, because they've gone and gotten their information from Zillow and those numbers are wrong. So if you get them to me sooner, I can help educate them, because even maybe they can't afford an $800,000 house, but that doesn't mean they want to afford that house. So we go deep into the numbers. And at that point, we talk about the strategy. Like, how can we get this? I don't know about y'all's markets, but in Dallas, we're still in a very competitive market. We're seeing a lot of multiple offers. So we have to set our clients up for that success. So we talk to them about how to make their offer stand out. That's getting them fully approved up front. That's closing in as little as 10 days. That's waiving a lot of the contingencies, but doing that to make sure that my client's still set up for success and there's no risk involved for them.
One one more question, just so I kind of understand how you position yourself, because you've used the word strategy. How would you describe, like your product or your value proposition?
Yeah, my value proposition is helping people win. So it really it is, yeah, you want a good rate and I can get you a great rate. Can you go online and find something better? You probably can, but you're not going to get what comes behind that. What comes behind that with me is 20 years of experience, 20 years of being in this market and knowing the realtors. Like, when people see my approval letter, they know it's good because I always deliver on that. They also need to know, like, you're not going to get this offer accepted if you do a 45-day close contingent on the sale of your current home. We need to figure out that strategy to get rid of those contingencies.
Would you agree, to help people win, you have to get them over the fears that they have. You have to get them over the uncertainty they have, and it's human work. And most loan officers aren't, they're struggling and they have a hard time getting people to in a position to win. What are your
Right.
thoughts on that?
Yeah. And well, I think a lot of people are struggling. Like, what you see on news is so negative, right? And get that mindset away. And people listen to their dad that bought a house 20 years ago and what they experienced. And that's just not the reality. Like, again, I'm in Dallas. What you see on national news is just not, if you're going to listen to that, you're not going to win in this market. But we also have to have the facts and not just my voice. So that's why I am staying attuned to what's going on in the market. I love Logan from Housing Wire. I listen to him all the time. He has such great intel. But if you listen to that and learn, there's so many ways you can educate the client to make them realize, like, oh, housing is a really good thing. It's been a really good thing and created a lot of wealth for a lot of people. You just have to show them the statistics as well as just say it.
Yeah, one of my favorite things about Logan is he makes it fun. He's an
That's why I
incredible,
love him. I love to have fun.
authentic guy, super unique, and it's fun.
Great
He
hair.
makes he makes numbers fun.
Yes, he's awesome.
Cool.
Yeah,
What
note to self.
percentage of your business would you say is first-time home buyers versus move up and kind of the luxury market? And do you
So,
approach those any differently with the
you know, I
contract?
really I do a lot of luxury, but I also do a lot of first time home buyer. I would say about 30 to 35% is first time home buyer right now, with the rest being move up. I don't approach them that different. And it's so funny. People, and I used to be one of them, are scared of luxury because you think these people are so fancy or whatever. They're just real people that want to be treated like a real person. Like, if I called them and I was like, "Hello, Mr. Smith, how are you doing today?" I would not have the same pull through ratio of that if I was like, "Hey, how are you? Where do your kids go to school?" Like, they're humans and we need to treat them that way. Do I show them as much of the numbers as I do my first time home buyers? No, they don't need to go line by line down the estimate and see every cost. They just want to see the bottom line and what can change on that. So there's a few different strategies in there, but a lot of that also depends on their job and what they do for a living, because you can kind of tell, oh, they're an engineer. I'm going to have to go line by line with them, no matter if it's their first or fifth time.
It seems to me like you use the word I make people comfortable. Right. And so I think and Dave used the word up front, confidence. So I think those two go hand in hand. If you can make someone comfortable, then they're going to be confident in proceeding. So you said you get them on Zoom and you go through the details. Like what are the what's that conversation like? And I see so many loan officers struggling here. What advice would you give them?
Yeah, when I do my initial lead conversation, I start that and I make sure to take notes on that conversation. Like I'm asking what their goals are for the house. Is it to get their kids into a different school? Where do your kids go to school? Do I have any connections there? Because I am a girl mom. I have a 4 and a 5-year-old daughter that I'm obsessed with. So that's like a lot of conversation we have too. Is like, oh yeah, we got to get them in by August. We've got to do this. I cannot believe how competitive schools are here. This is ridiculous. Just having those conversations and making them realize that I'm also a person and not just someone behind like an AI person at Rocket Mortgage, right? Like we're really humanizing that experience there. And then through that, I find out their pain points. So I know where to sell and guide them on how to make them win in that situation.
You mentioned AI, and in this article they talked about like, hey, the things that can be automated will be automated and are
Mhm.
being automated.
And I love
And
it.
yeah, and but then there are things, the human work, like listening to people, understanding their fear, noticing their tone. As you said, like, oh, they're an engineer. I'm going to have to go by line. And some of that can be told by their backstory, and some of that can
Mhm.
be told from just the vibe they're putting off. But what do you think when you think of a local LO like yourself that's serving a local community and you want to future proof yourself? Uh, where do you use tech? Where do you use AI? Always love to hear how people are using AI. And then what do you think are just the things that are never going to change? And this is how I am future proofing myself.
Yeah, so AI has, I work at the most amazing company, I will say, and we've always been kind of ahead of the game on technology, which is funny because I'm not that technologically advanced and I'm probably late to the game on most. So I'm grateful to have a company that takes care of all that. For a long time, my biggest selling proposition was a 10-day close. With AI, a lot of people are able to do that as well. So it's like shifting to still show my value. um, where do I use AI? Obviously, a lot of the underwrite, like our online applications, so much is that like approvals are happening so much faster than they used to. I'm using it a lot to help with my social media. Um, but as far as my relationships, nothing's ever going to compete with that because look, AI is only as good as the information as you give it the majority of the time. And you still have to be involved in that. And you still have to make the people feel comfortable. Like AI doesn't realize there's a 10-day close. And if it doesn't close, the person's going to be homeless. When it started coming out, I was really nervous. I told my husband, I was like, oh, I got to figure out something else to do. I'm not going to have a job in like 3 years. So let's really double down on this now and make some money because I don't know how to do anything else. But now I've learned we're still going to be around. It's just going to get rid of some of the ones that shouldn't be in the game anyway.
I almost think it's going to be like the human soft skills, like being the you can be and working on like the listening and asking more strategic and curious questions so that they feel connected.
Mhm.
That's going to matter more than, I feel like AI and technology will really take care of the rest. So it's post-closing value and then also, equipping your referral partners and diversifying your referral partners, which I'd love to dive into a little bit if that's okay. Todd, did you have anything else you wanted to add to that, or can I ask?
Go for it.
Okay. So I'm really curious. You have two teammates that are shared and you do every initial call. How do you, or how much time do you spend on growing the business and like prospecting partners, and how do you nurture those relationships? Because it would seem with your production, how do you have time?
So I don't do at this point in my career, I've learned I get a much bigger bang for my buck doing events opposed to one-on-one coffees and lunches. For example, I did an event in March. I teamed up with a title company here. So we split the cost, right? We hosted the top 100 realtors in the Dallas area. I opened it up. I spoke. I gave a quick market update for about 15 minutes. And then I invited some of the top brokers with Compass, Ali Beth Allman, Dave Perry Miller. I'm saying names that Deb will get because she's in the Dallas area, but there are a lot of local Dallas companies. So that was easier for me to get people because obviously the realtors wanted to come support their broker as well. Within 48 hours of that event, I had 9 new leads of realtors I've never worked with. I never called on them. I just spoke for 15 minutes. That event has paid for itself 10 times over, and it's only been not even 3 months.
Did you have like a certain call to action or like follow me, or was it just kind of intuitive where they liked you? Smart.
Along with new people. So they were really being like, oh, you don't know Kristin? You don't, Kristin, you have to, you're an idiot. So they were helping me be my sales tribe. But then I was just sharing with them the knowledge that I empower my realtors with. I'm not going up and being like, we have this great new product and our rates are this. Like, who cares about what my rates are? Because by the time you send me a client, that's not going to be the rate. Like right now in this market, it might not be the rate in 10 minutes after I quote it. Like, so, and I tell them that I'm like, quit sharing everyone. Like, I love keeping current matters. I get tons of information from them. But remember when someone posted the 5.99, like they posted 5.99 and it was a Friday afternoon and every realtor in America reposted that 5.99. And then we came to the office on Monday and rates were definitely not 5.99. They went up. And like, so now when you're doing that, you're doing a disservice to your clients because now in their head, all they want is a 5.99 rate and that doesn't exist. What if we spin that and talk about, okay, where are you comfortable with your payment? Let's show you how that can afford what that affords you. Or when rates do drop, that's great. I'm going back out to my realtors and saying, hey guys, good news, rates dropped. Let's not go out and say rates dropped. If you had clients on the fence that didn't buy when rates were a half a point higher, let's restructure what they can get approved for. And let's go out and be like, hey, I know last year you could only get at 800,000. Now with this improving market, you can get up to 950,000. Now they're excited and they don't care about the rates shifting an eighth percent.
You know, you said that you get business through events, but then when I really heard you describe it, to me, what was going through my head is you're not just doing one-to-many events, you're creating community. Because you talked about how, hey, I had some of my top producers there, I had some people I didn't do. And then the way you described Instagram earlier, like that's a tool to create community. The event, you know, you had a title company that you shared it with, you were strategic with who was there, like you've created a community. And so describe your full community, like in the context I've just said it, like what are the tools to build your community and what are other things that you're doing to build and create value in your community?
I use Instagram a lot. I have a broadcast channel, broadcast on Instagram where I just give my realtors quick updates because I've learned a lot of people delete emails. So I do like 3 or 4 sentences broadcast like, hey, here's a quick market update to help realtors understand.
How many
I'm
people are in that ballpark?
100, 120.
And
Um,
I've seen Nicole Ruth, I know, is doing that. Is
mhm.
Denise doing that? Of course she is.
Yes.
Again, Denise Donahue, another great
I
community
love Denise.
builder in that market. Yeah, love that.
I also have a newsletter that I email out. I will say my broadcast channel gets a lot more people and it takes a lot less time. And it's a lot easier because it's 3 sentences as opposed to going in MailChimp and doing all this stuff. Like it's just a quick, I can think something, throw it out there. Because that's what people want. They want something that's quick and easy that they can move forward and talk to their clients about. And that's what I try to focus my realtor relationships. Like if I were a realtor, what would I want out of a lender? I don't care about this loan product unless it helps me get more business. But how do I explain that to my realtors on how you can win? I do a lot of non-QM, buy before you sell. People don't really understand that until you put it in the terms like, hey, have you had any client that they want to buy a new house, but their lender told them they had to sell first? oh my gosh, I've had so many and they're scared because inventory is so low. Okay, I just saved a deal for your friend Jessica down the road. Someone told her the same, but we structured it this way, and now she just got 2 closings out of it. Then it triggers to them. Instead of just doing a flyer that says buy before you sell, they're going to throw that in the trash.
Yeah. So it's all about, I'm going to help you win. Like that is the theme that you're always on. Like, how am
For
I
my
going to help
realtors, for
you?
my clients, for everyone. We're setting
And
up
then I'm going to
success
build
for
community around that. And then and then you are using technology to do that, because I know that you're using IG. I know that you use Mortgage Coach on certain types of loans. So, I mean, you use tech when it creates value.
yes. Or I make my
What
team
about
use tech.
Facebook groups? Don't you have a group that you run? And is that just is it for loan officers, real estate agents, all of the
You know,
above, or?
I just started with my friend Allison Larson, Women's Mortgage Mastermind group. We started it 3 days ago. So women, you should join. It's just where we're creating community. We already have 150 members within 3 days, which just shows that we need that. Like, we want women to see how they can win in this business, how we can compete with you boys and show y'all what's up, and just go around our struggles too, because a lot of us are moms to young kids and we have different challenges where we're trying to win at work, but also win at home. So just building that community around that.
Is that something that people can sign up?
Please,
Women,
yeah, come join
women?
us.
What's the name of it?
It is, this is how new it is, Women's Mortgage Mastermind.
Women Mortgage Mastermind.
Yeah, let me put the link. How about I
Yeah,
do
someone put a link in there. Let's make sure we get women. I love that. Winning at work, winning at home. I'm sure you guys are gonna crush. And Allison is awesome. We've had Allison on this show. I've interviewed her on the Mortgage Coach show, and then we had her speak at last year's Modern Mortgage Summit. And who knows, we may have Allison again in the near future.
that?
We wanted to have her last year or this year, but here's a perfect thing. Like, she prioritized her family. She's like,
Mhm.
I've been traveling here, I've been traveling there. Like, she could have done it. Like, she had it open, but she's like, I just unfortunately need to say no, because I've got to prioritize my family right now. I love that.
Yeah, and it's hard because this business is so, I mean, most people in this business are very competitive, right? And it's so easy to get wrapped up in it. And there's always something, whether it's an event for mortgage or it's a happy hour to meet more realtors or whatever. And it's so hard to figure out that balance and keep what's important the most important thing. So it's also nice being around other people that have those same values. And if I'm struggling with it, like, I'll call Allison and be like, what do you think about this? And sometimes it's just so nice to have that sounding board, that someone that gets it is in there that can tell you, like, you should do that, and just have that friend. I say everyone needs their mortgage bestie. And you'll learn if you follow both of us. Allison and I copy each other a lot too. So we can double our marketing because we're in different markets. So we can just share each other's ideas and do less work.
Well, and I know you're so committed to be home by 4:30 every day, and I think that is such a struggle for people, and I think especially moms in the mortgage business. But it's one of the things that I always loved, like about Josh Metal. I mean, he was literally 5 o'clock. He had an alarm that went off that said "Go home," and so that he made sure he prioritized family time. How do you make sure that happens? How do you protect that space when you've got realtors who are like, "Hey, can you talk to my client at 5 o'clock?" What does that look like for you, and how do you script around that?
Yes, so it's not always perfect, right? I mean, I am home at 4:30. I might just be taking a call with my kids screaming in the background. I try not to.
You're like
One thing,
shoving them in the closet, putting a pillow over
exactly.
their face, like, shh,
Here's
shh, shh.
Bluey, here's Bluey. But
Easy, Deborah. Don't let everybody know your secret.
I I also just tell people I'm honest. I work with a lot of successful women realtors, so that's helpful too, because they're in the same struggle I'm in. So they also don't want to be taking the calls during dinner time or all of that. So I I also don't ask clients what's convenient for you. Because when you ask that question, you're opening yourself up to have to say no or at 7 o'clock or say yes because you asked that question. So I start and I just say, I don't tell them I'm at home. I just say, hey, I have an appointment at 4:30. Does 4 o'clock work? I have like, does any time between 10 and 3 work? So just putting that there, then they do it. Like, no one's asking their doctor to talk at 7 o'clock at night. You just have to give them the times and let them work within it. Now, don't get me wrong. Sometimes there's a 911 on a weekend and we're making an exception, but I tell them like, hey, my kids are here and they're going to be screaming in the background, but sorry, I'm a mom first. And most of the time people respect it and then they don't talk to you as long either. So it's a win-win.
Yeah, it's funny when I started in the mortgage business, I was a stay-at-home dad, so it was great. When I picked my kids up at 2, and same thing, they're screaming in the back seat. But I think it made me more human. That's gonna be my new thing, Dave. By the way, I'm gonna be the first one in the mortgage business to talk about HI, human interaction. Right, is going to be really important going forward. But I do love that, and I think when you tell people I've got a commitment, right, that's the word I use at 4:30. Then they don't feel like that's something that can be wiggled around or moved. And so I would just encourage the rest of you listening to this. I mean, you should know your calendar well enough, right? You should be looking ahead in your week, right? So you do it like a week ahead action plan, and you can schedule those blocks, right? You can literally block it out and say, okay, 1 to 3, Tuesday, Thursday, I'm going to talk to clients, 2 to 4, Wednesday, Friday. And then that way you can just tell clients right up, hey, here's the options. I've got, 2 to 3 this day, 1 to 4 that day. And then, you're giving them, they're going to have to work their schedule around. Because even the most busy people, at least I found that, maybe you can talk to it, Kristin. I mean, the busiest people still have a lunch break typically at some point where they can jump on a call.
Exactly. And that's what, and I work with CEOs, I work with a lot of hired people, and they all have time. They just need to make it. One thing too, because everyone's like, well, how are you doing this and leaving at 4:30 every day and you're done with work? I'm getting up at 5 and I start my day then. So something has to give, right? Like I'm not just strolling in here at 9. By the time I get in the office, by the time my kids wake up, I've typically already done 2 hours of work.
Love that. Win by noon. She's winning by 7, win by 5.
Have
So I
my
mean,
Win by Noon calendar right here, our
oh, that's what
planner.
we're talking about. Hey, wait, let's see that again. Like put that. So we winning by
Woo!
noon mentally and executing on that. I mean, you're not a top 1% loan officer. I saw on your Instagram, you're a top 10th
0.14.
1%. I know, I saw that. Very specific, but you weren't always. And
No.
your confidence is incredible. Like your vibe, your energy, you can just tell, how confident you are, but you weren't always that. Was there a year, a breakthrough year, a coach, a mentor, something where it all changed and you went from good to great, because
Yeah.
you are living that great? Was, if you were, like, tell us the year, tell us the what
Yeah, I
was.
know exactly the year. It's 2023. I almost got out of the business.
Really?
Uh-huh.
What?
I didn't expect to
Um,
hear that. I thought you were going to tell me something like,
no, it was, and that's what, so it was very recent. I mean, 2023 was hard, right? That's when there was all the big banks getting out. Like I did in 2023, I looked at my numbers last month and I did 30 million. The worst year I've had in so long. I also had a 1 and a 2 year, or I had a 0 and a 1 year old then probably. And I was trying to figure out post COVID because it was so easy, to get loans. And I was trying to figure out how to be a mom and a good mom. And I was feeling guilty when I was at work and I was feeling guilty when I was at home. And I literally left work one day and I went on a walk and I called my friend Allison actually. And I said, I think I want out. And she was like, huh? And I was like, I don't want to do this anymore. And then I went home and I told my husband the same thing. And he looked at me and he goes, Kristin, I love you, but you are way too crazy to be a stay-at-home mom. And I was really annoyed, but he was right. It would not have been good for our marriage or probably for my children or anyone. So I spent like a lot of time reflecting and I'm like, okay, something has to change. So I decided I just went all in on my business. I reached out to Sean actually, and I'm like, tell me how you're doing what you're doing. And he was like, I'm just doing what you all should be doing. Like I'm making the calls, I'm doing the
Such a
events.
shock response.
I was so annoyed, if I'm being honest. I was like, really? That's what you're gonna give me? Um, but he was right. And it's funny, I started doing that and listening to him, and it was crazy. So it went from 2023. Again, that was a very bad year for me. I was so checked out. 2024, I did 83 million. Last year, I did 113 million, and I'll hit 100 million this month.
boom, guys. So, so you really did. I mean, you had someone that you had extraordinary respect for, Sean,
Mhm.
and you did get advice from people that were close to you.
Mhm.
and then you soul searched. What period of time would you say for the time that like maybe I should get out to the I'm all in? It was that a week, a month,
Oh, it was a couple.
6 months?
I mean, I wish it happened overnight, right? Like it was probably 6 months. And then I was
Okay,
like,
so there
okay,
was a 6 month kind of
yeah,
a messy 6 month period.
yeah. There was like some feeling sorry for myself, probably drinking a little too much rosé some days instead of working. But then once I made that decision and I was like, okay, I'm actually going to do my business plan and I'm going to follow it. And I surrounded myself with people that were doing the work and that I respected. And then I decided to do the same and do it consistently.
So one last question. I'll probably have more, but I really want to hear this out. So you had 6 months of the messy middle, and then from the time that you said, okay, head down, she said, I'm going to have a plan and I'm actually going to execute a plan. When did your confidence start coming? Was it like within 30 days? Was it within 90 days?
I'd
Like,
say 60 to 90.
so
And
60 to
then all of a
90,
sudden it
and
just
then
started clicking. And I was like, wow, it's crazy when you actually work, what happens, right? Like, because
a
I had
little
been
less
doing it
rosé,
for a
you
long
know?
time. I'm like, I just thought realtors, like, they know I'm good. Why do I have to keep telling them I'm good? Like, why do I have to keep showing it? Like, and then it's still to this day, I'm like, well, crap, if Sean's still doing it, I need to do it too. But just keeping on surrounding yourself with those people to see that they're still in it, they're still doing it, the work doesn't ever stop. But now I really enjoy it too. Like, it's really fun most
I
days.
think that's such a real thing that people after COVID struggled with like, but do I really have to go back and do that grunt work? Like I've been in the business 10, 15, 20 years. Like haven't I arrived? Like you mean I have to go back and, pretend like it's, where you're grinding again? And it was almost this ego trap, but also like, I was doing all the right things. Shouldn't my database be feeding me now? And
Right.
so I heard that a lot. Todd, what about you and your clients?
Well, I mean, I think that's a super common occurrence, right? And so I love the fact that, you made the choice, right? I think you have to make the choice. I think there's a lot of people here who potentially are mentally checked out in having that same conversation with themselves that you had. And I think that everyone has to make that choice. So Roxy's asking you if you can break down the action and plan that you took, because I love it. You just said, hey, I started doing the things that Sean said, which is the things that all loan officers should be doing.
Hmm. Yeah. So I time blocked because again, there's only so much time in the day, right? And I wanted to make it very I tend to like my team used to always make fun of me. I would start the year with like a 15-page business plan and I would schedule a call or a meeting to go over it in detail. And then behind my back, they would laugh and be like, all right, here's Kristen's yearly meeting that we're going to go over all this and never hear anything about it again. So I was like, okay, I've got to change that and make this really simple and then actually do it and show up by being a leader so they'll follow. Mondays, I do my realtor calls. I do between 1 and 2 hours depending on how busy I am or how busy I want to be. I also in that time maybe I do a lot and honestly like a lot of people don't want called anymore when I have those relationships with them, so I'll spend some time texting. I'll use the Reach app and just do a mass text that doesn't look like a mass text. At first I got really annoyed because I'm like I'm calling all these people and they're not picking up the phone. But then I realized I got referrals from them anyway. And I was like, cool, they don't even want to talk to me. They just wanted to remember me. And then they're still going to send me business. So don't get defeated if they don't answer. On Tuesdays was just my pipeline review, just checking with my team, making sure that everything's on track. I don't call my realtors every Tuesday just because I have the relationships with them and it annoys me when people call me every week because I don't have time for it. And I know most of my realtor partners don't either. Like, I don't want to be the loan officer that's like, hey, it's time for your Tuesday update because they don't care. They don't have time for it. They're sending me the deal because they know I'm going to execute and get it done. But my team reviews it and makes sure. And if we have a needy realtor, that's when we'll reach out to them. Wednesdays, following up with pre-approvals. I'm reaching out to anyone. Again, I'll call, they don't answer. I don't care. That's great. They hear my voice, they remember my name. Thursdays is my favorite day of the week. I just reach out to my clients that have closed the week before for a quote random call. And that's when I also talk to them about a strike rate of when it's time to refi, make sure they're set up for their first payment, thank them, ask them for a review. I ask them if my team could do anything better for them. And Friday's my free day because no week is perfect. again, I'm at all my kids' events, I'm doing things so I can push something to Friday. And if it is a perfect week, I try to peace out early and go play mahjong with my friends for a couple of hours before mom duty begins again.
Man, I want to play mahjong. I'm going to do that. That's what I'm going to Texas for, Deborah. I'm not going for any
You
Mavericks
should.
game or Cowboys game. It's going to show up to play mahjong.
You
It's
just don't
good
like
when
because the Cowboys beat the Eagles when they're in
Listen,
Dallas. But
Oh,
anyways,
come on, Deborah. Let's not do, you know, Cowboys beating the
we got
Eagles like
97
the
days till the
once a
NFL
decade
season.
kind of thing. Uh,
Exactly.
97 days. Who's counting?
yeah,
Whatever.
yeah. Hey, I the same question I asked you a minute ago. Do you know who Gina Myers is in Virginia?
I don't.
She's like, I think she's the number one female loan officer in the state of Virginia. Kills, just an amazing person and a great producer, big mortgage coach. But I had asked her the same question, and she, like you, she's like, "Oh, I can remember it." And I can't remember the number of realtors she said she had, but she goes, "I decided that I was only going to work with people that I like. They trust me, they respect
Mhm.
me, and they show it." And there were some people that she didn't have on the list. Like she had to go backwards before she went forward. But that was again, I did a whole hour conversation, and I think really half the call ended up being about just how she came to this epiphany, how she executed it. She's created community with those people to the point where like once a year she invites them over to their house, and her and her husband,
Love that.
I think they created an incredible experience. They've created community. But did you have to do anything like that? Did you stop working with some people that were hurting the vibe,
Yeah,
or
I'll
and what's
never
your whole
forget.
philosophy on that?
Excuse me. I had a realtor, and I swear he just always tested me to see, like, a few days after I had my baby, he called about a pre-approval. Then in 2024, I didn't have childcare for 3 months. My nanny's husband passed away from cancer, and we wanted to continue paying her. So my husband and I were just like, let's figure it out so we can pick up the slack. So I was still trying to manage my business, and I answered his phone call one time, and it was during the day. And I was like, hey, I'm so sorry, I'm home with my kids. And he was like, the Kristin I used to know always worked.
Oh,
And I was like,
Wow.
and we're done. Like, and
the
he was a
Christian
big
you used to know.
producer.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah. And I'm like, you jerk, I'm still working. I'm answering your call while I have a baby crying at my foot. Like, so and that was like the refreshing thing. I'm like, I don't need that business anymore. And I realized because there's certain people that put you in such a bad mindset that you can't even go out and continue. Like, if you talk to a realtor that's crushing to your soul, it's so much harder to pick up the phone and call 10 other realtors. But if you talk to a realtor that's like, oh my gosh, Kristin, I love our team. We're so great together, blah, blah, blah. Then you have that confidence to go out and you can go out and sell easily because you know you're doing what's right by your other clients. So just get rid of the jerks.
I want everybody to make a note on that, because the title of today's call is about confidence in a competitive market. And if you have too many people in your work life that are robbing, pulling down your confidence, it's not going to work. You're not going to do it. So anyways, I love that.
You know what it makes me think of, Dave, is I remember when I was able to fire my first realtor and how good it felt because they were
Fun,
abusive.
right?
They were abusive to my team, but I lacked the confidence up to that point. I felt like I needed every bad relationship that I had. And what I found is that, gosh, number one, had I done it sooner, it would have opened up so much brain space. I wouldn't have felt like I had to be at that person's beck and call. And it would have given me opportunity to go out and create the relationships I want. So I think, if you're listening to this and you are dealing with one or two people that you feel like you're stuck with, you're not. It's a choice. And if you actually let them go, short term, yeah, you might lose a loan or two, but long term, you're going to have this new open brain space. I again use that confidence word that we're talking about today. It's going to increase your confidence to go out and find people who actually boost you up, make you feel better, and you'll probably find the person who's going to actually probably refer you double or triple the business that person was anyway.
Right. And I feel like the market too has shifted a lot. Like back in the day, remember how everyone was like, you just need your 5 core realtors, and those are the only people you need. And I feel like that has changed a lot now, right? Like if I depended on 5 realtors for my business, it wouldn't be near what it is today. So I love, again, events. Even if they send me a onesie, twosie, that is awesome. And heaven forbid my team ever does something that makes you mad. I really hope that doesn't happen, and we will try to make it right. But if it does happen, it's not going to be detrimental to my long-term business if they decide to go with another loan officer.
So,
How
so
many
you mentioned,
total realtors do you work with, that refer you business? Like, what's the size of your realtor community?
Yeah, I should know this better. Last year,
Ballpark.
over 100 realtors referred us business.
Wow. So really, really wide. And how many, call it whale agents, do you have, that are big?
So again, I am in the jumbo market more, and a lot of my whale realtors, like one of my realtors closed 300 million last year. I'm the only person he refers, but I only think I got 3 loans from him last year because he's almost too big of a whale. So you have to be careful of that too, because then they're getting into that private wealth, or those
Yeah.
people that just have $5-10 million sitting around, so annoying, but whatever, that they don't need me anymore. So while I do have some whales, I think I have 4 realtors that have referred me over 5 deals this year, and it's only the beginning of June. If you looked at their numbers, you wouldn't consider them a whale, right? Like they're $10 to $20 million producers. And that's
Yep.
kind of my bread and butter, because they like us a lot.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I like that. So for you, someone that you get 5 loans a year from, that's a big relationship. And they don't necessarily need to be a whale agent in order to deliver that type of productivity to you.
Correct. Yeah.
And then you got a $300 million agent that's giving you 3 deals.
But you know what's so great about him? Everyone wants to be him. And when they ask him who's your lender, and he says Kristin, I get realtors that way
Right.
as well. So I might not see it in the numbers, but I know because people love him and want to do whatever he says, and he says I'm his girl, they'll send me business.
Do you
that's
coach
huge. So
them on that at all? Like when you are at events or when he's speaking, like, is there something you do when you onboard agents that
I name
plants
drop
this?
him.
Okay. Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I name drop and say he sends me business, but he will too. Like, and I've never asked him to. He's just a good guy. And he always is like, oh, you need to have the right team behind you. But then I have my other realtors that are my tribe, and I'm like, I'll call one and I'm like, hey, I want to work with this person. And he's like, I'll call right now. And he's really funny. He's like, you're not working with Kristin. That's disgusting. You need to call her.
Step your
So he
game
hazes
up,
them
buddy.
into working with me.
That's awesome.
So I'd love to circle back on events because you've mentioned that a couple of times. So you do the top 100 event. Is that an annual event? And then what other events do you do throughout the year? Are they just things you think of, or do you have stuff that's traditional that you do year after year?
So that typically I do something like that once a year. I am moving it to twice now. I'm going to do it in the spring and the fall, just because I saw how successful it was a couple of months ago. I also do a lot. I go into brokers opens where someone wants to get them in the house, and I'll do a panel with an appraiser, me. Sometimes I do insurance, sometimes I don't, depending on how hot of a topic it is at that point, where we just invite 15 or 20 realtors, and we will just have them come in and ask questions about the market. And that also has been a big way to drive business, and it's easy to get them there because, again, they're supporting their friend who's having the brokers open. Love a good mahjong event with my moms. I've learned a good time for events is 1 to 3 before school pickup. I don't do happy hours anymore because I want to be home with my kids. So it's funny. I used to feel like I had to do happy hours, and I'm like, why does anyone else want to be here? I don't even want to be here. So I just changed it to things that are fun. I did a pedicure event recently where we just had someone come in and talk about the market while they were getting pedicures. We do flower making, which is very random but fun, and people like it. We go to a florist and they make an arrangement. We're in and out in 45 minutes to an hour. We laugh, have a glass of wine, and then they're on with their day. But I do all my events during work hours, 1, because that's what I want to do, and 2, my turnout has been so much better during those times than doing them in the evening.
What about webinars? Anything that you do
I've
online?
tried, and it's on my
I saw that on your,
Yeah, that's the one I did.
and it wasn't,
I'm
I
gonna do
do
another
think a
one
lot.
just on the condo changes, but it's on my list, just not high. I probably should do more of those. I just get PTSD if I only see 3 or 4 people show up. It's not good
Just
for it's
know
not good
it
for my
can
confidence.
become it can become your long form content that can then turn into a blog and an article and then short form content. So
Fine, Deb,
if
I'll do
anything, you
it.
could leverage it and repurpose it. So,
Marketing. Yeah.
if it's not just the 3 people there, it can live. I mean, it's like this
It'll live
channel. I
forever.
mean,
Yeah.
Dave and Todd have done this for 10 years, and the community wouldn't be where it's at. Like, you go back and look 10 years ago, y'all's audio game, C minus. Like, but that
What?
was early days,
Easy,
right? Like,
easy. Yeah,
but
no,
everybody
everything.
starts. Yeah. But when you're consistent, like I'm sure there wasn't like a real strategy. The thumbnails were
Right.
like, us doing these, not your traditional playbook by any means,
Wrong
but
with
you look
that?
at the growth. What'd you say?
I said, what was wrong with all this? Like that.
Well, just like the bold hook, that is scroll stopping, that is what you typically see, but it worked. Like my point is you do it long enough and consistent enough, one, you're going to get better, but it
Right.
also creates micro content. It creates opportunities to then invite people to interview. But I do think the
I'm sitting
live
with
events are still, that's where community is built. And when we interviewed Sean Herrero, it's funny, he mentioned the same thing where that was going to be his new big push is doing more of those masterminds and live events so that you're not just a screen, but you also can really connect with people.
And my biggest
So
event too is what, like, I know I said I do like the flower and the mahjong stuff, but those are far and few between. What I get those are just to like stay consistent with my realtor partners. But the big events are when I'm educating them and helping them get more business and grow their business. That's what I feel like realtors want. How can they get better?
And then in between, like the communication that you're doing, because again, I think that's where a lot of loan officers miss it. And you said it, you said that Sean said it to you, that there's the things we should be doing. So I love that you've got your kind of ideal week planned out of what you do, and you said you time block it. So how do you then make sure you get that done? I mean, obviously that's a commitment you have, and
Before
I feel like
noon.
yeah, well, I was going to say, of course, I would throw that in there, but I feel like that's where loan officers blow it. Like they all know they have to call 10 or 20 or whatever real estate agents, whatever day of the week they're going to do it, but they get to 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, and it's not done. How do you make sure that it happens?
It's on my calendar and I make sure I do it before lunch. My team knows we have our meeting from 9:30 to 9:45, 10, depending on how busy it is every day. And then they know to leave me alone so I can go get it done. But if it's not done by lunchtime, it's not going to happen. So I just do it. There's not someone whipping me in the
that's the mom
background, but I like
response.
to
Like you,
win.
you find a mom with little kids, like they will be the most productive workers. They've
Yep.
already worked out the schedule. They reverse engineered while the husband is still taking the fork to his mouth, eating dinner. The mom or the wife has already planned like the next 3 days. She's got it down.
Yep. 100%.
But I think it kind of makes sense. I mean, I think back to it when I was a stay-at-home dad. I didn't call myself the win by noon guy, but I literally peeled my daughter off my leg on the playground right at 9. Zoomed over to the office, which thankfully was close to school, and then I just did the things I had to do first before I went and got distracted by everything else because I had to leave at 1:45 to be in the carpool line so that I could
Right.
actually then do the rest of the things. And so it's kind of fun because I hadn't really thought about that part of my career in a while.
Yeah. You have no choice. You just have to get it done.
Well, that was it. And a big part of my business then were the stay-at-home moms that I hung out with because they all had houses that needed to be refinanced or they were buying bigger houses. And then I was getting my MBA at night. And so I refinanced half of my class and about a quarter of my professors. So it
Right.
was just a great opportunity. But those were the people that were in my community at that time. So I think you all should be thinking about that, right? What are your communities? What are your hobbies, right? Like I don't play Mahjong yet. I used to play it at the JCC as a kid, watch the moms all play it. But there's an opportunity for you to do something that you're passionate about. And you probably have some real estate agents or some other clients that would be excited to do that with you. And I like the reframe of doing it during the day instead of the evening when no one really wants to hang out.
Yeah, and I mean, I also get a lot from my kids' schools, and it's not that I go in and market there or anything, but they follow me on social. They see I got one yesterday. I've never even talked to her about mortgage, and she was like, "Oh my goodness, you're who I need to use. I'm buying a house next year." Like, so it's just, I mean, that's what social media does, right? It's that soft selling, so you don't have to be this lazy salesperson. They just see like, "Oh, she's really good at her job. She's consistent." Like, and I just got a $2 million deal out of it.
Was it hard for you to show up online? Like,
Yes,
was it
it
more,
still is.
really? Because you come
Mhm.
across very natural.
Thank you. Yeah, I It's funny. And again, where I am in Dallas, I am probably in the 10 to 20% of women that actually work. So it's hard for me when all the school friends, they're all playing tennis and I'm doing like Instagram reels about mortgages all day. So I'm sure I'm being made fun of somewhere out there in the mom world, but I'm like, okay, you like tennis, I like mortgage rates. Like it is what it is. I'm happy with it. So I just have to move forward from it. But yeah, sometimes I'm sure people are making fun of me.
By the way, I bet you really like, obviously you care about money and profits, but you care about purpose, and you probably have a narrative for yourself that, and I don't want to put words in your mouth. What is that purpose and profits narrative that you have? Like what is that for you?
My biggest thing is I want to show, I have two daughters, and I want to show them that they can be a successful woman and also a successful wife and mom. That's my purpose of always showing up because I'm from Oklahoma. When I graduated from college, most people got married right away and they worked for a year or two until they had kids. Like I'm one of the few. And then I was told so many times, like, why do you care so much about your job? Once you have kids, you're going to quit. And I obviously didn't go that route. And I want my girls to know that they can always take care of themselves. They can always be strong women and they can do whatever they want. So that's what keeps me going.
That's powerful. I know, you've mentored people, you've coached people, now you've built this, or you're starting to build this mastermind community. As we go into closing thoughts, and remember, audience, if you have a question, get it quick because we're almost out of time here. But like, what do you think industry needs to hear right now? What do loan officers need to hear? It's not quite your closing thought, but we're getting close to it. So what are your thoughts on that?
I think keep going. I feel like there's so much negativity and everything, but it's really just if this is what you want to do, put your head down and do it. There's no, as Shant told me years ago, there is no magic formula. Like just do the basics, do them consistently, and do them well.
By the way, that's Sean Herrera's new North Star personal code. Keep going. If you just won, keep going. If you just lost, keep going.
That's what's so annoying about this, right? You have like a really good month, and then the next day you're back at zero again.
Yeah,
So
keep going.
Yeah, I think that's great. I think it is a challenge. So we are at closing thought times, 5 minutes to the end. Is there something, Kristen, that we didn't ask you or that you are passionate about and excited that you want to make sure you mention before we close out?
I think we've touched on everything. Honestly, you guys should join our women's mortgage mastermind just because I want us to have more of a community of women who help each other win and be successful. Because that I talked about 2023 and the funk that I was in. And if I didn't have the friends and the people around me, I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing today. And I think people don't realize about having your mortgage community of people that are in the thick of it every day. When you have a client that's driving you crazy or something, just someone that they're with you on the path and can either commiserate with you or like kick you out of it. Have your community, find your mortgage bestie, and keep going.
Love it. Deb?
I would challenge everyone today to kind of take this as a gift and do 5 video messages or audio messages, although I'm not a huge fan of those. And who could you breed confidence into that may be lacking confidence? And again, it could be someone who is producing, but maybe they feel like they're falling short. Maybe it's as a mom or, as a husband or a wife. But let's be the catalyst for confidence as we go into this weekend and almost mid-year and go uniquely see someone who may need a little boost and needs to hear maybe what is hard to hear, but also remind them of their greatness and superpower. So send 5 of those today.
Love that.
All right. My closing thought, I think it always comes down to who you are and the success or struggle you're having, whether it's family, whether it's personal, whether it's business. It all comes down to your principles, your beliefs, your philosophies. It's one reason why I'm writing this book, Savage Code. And I heard Sean Herrera do this whole keep going. Like him and I did a workshop together a month or so ago, and he did a whole thing on keep going. And here I heard Kristin say it. I just copy and pasted my personal notes. Like he said it, and then I like, what did it mean to me? And I documented it. So Kristin is an incredibly purpose driven, value driven leader. And I would push everybody, like, what did you hear today that connected and resonated? And then do some personal journaling around it. Like, make it yours. Like, you gotta make it yours, your why, your purpose. And I think there was a lot to be shared today. Loved it, Kristin. Can't wait to have you as a more active leader in both the Win by Noon and the mortgage coach community. You're awesome.
Awesome. Thank you.
Well, I think this was a master class, regardless of the level you're at in the business, because I think we had not only some fresh ideas, but really some great reminders of what you need to do, which ultimately started with Sean's advice of put in the work that we all know we need to do. And then think about the fact that Kristin said, I just put my head down and I make sure I get it all done. And I think that that's got to be kind of the driving force. And so I think there's plenty of other opportunities here to pick off some of the ideas. Some are big ideas, right? A big event with a title company for the top realtors in the area. That's a big idea. But then there was the small ideas of doing pedicures or doing mahjong or some other thing.
Opens.
Brokers opens, right? So lots of opportunity for you to jump in with your agents. We'll make sure we've got all the links to Kristin, to her Facebook group in the show notes here, whether you're watching this on YouTube or listen to it in podcast form. But the bottom line is this: is you have an opportunity to change your business going forward if you choose to. You've got the opportunity to fire the realtors who talk to you like they talked to Kristin about how she did her job. You've got the opportunity to go out there and make some more HI, some more human interactions, and we're going to probably overuse going forward the opportunity to just keep going. But the bottom line is this: we're super grateful that you walk through this. Deborah just mentioned gratitude touches. That's one of the things we're going to have Jeremy Forcia on next week. And Jeremy has on his tracker every week 10 gratitude touches. That would be a great opportunity for you today to continue to be successful. Just super grateful that you tuned in. Super grateful for those of you who are here live. And we look forward to having you here next week on the Loan Officer Mastermind. Thanks, everyone.
And one more thing. I was so extra pumped today because I had never interviewed Kristin before. She'd never been on the podcast. So it was great to have new blood. And I just want to push anyone and everyone that's on this. If you know someone that is killing it and we should have as a guest, love to have more new people in this community. So thanks, everybody. Take care, y'all.
All right.
Bye.